Hello everyone. I will be discussing the characteristics of self-instructional materials or SIM in various media in this report. First and foremost, let me define self-instructional materials or SIM in the distance education context by Roundtree. The concept of teaching through self-instruction was coined by Derek Roundtree in 1986, which is also the title of his book. Self-instructional materials are teaching materials that are specifically meant to enable students to self-learn or independently learn on their own about a topic or issue, etc. He also referred these materials as tutorial in print. In this particular subject of SIM, I will focus on the provided resource material authored by Lockwood, since this is a standard reference for practitioners of distance education. Here he describes the distinct features of self-instructional materials and makes a distinction between self-instructional materials and textbooks, as summarized in tables 6.1 and 6.2. Table 6.1 titled Distinctive Features of Self-Instructional Materials provided us with information that will help us understand SIM more. In individual learning, no need to wait until there are enough learners to form a group. Various media can be used. In self-paced learning, each individual can work at his or her own pace rather than at the pace of the group, which may be too fast or too slow. In private learning, no danger of loss of pace as might be feared in certain kinds of group learning. Some students prefer to study on their own. Some senior students may not wish to be in a face-to-face class with the younger students. It is also available at any time. Learners can learn when they wish rather than according to an external timetable. Available at any place, in students' homes or when traveling, unless fixed or special equipment is needed. It is available to any number. There is no limit to the number of learners who can be studying a course at one time. It has standardized content. All learners receive the same teaching materials. It has expert content. Materials can include contributions from national and international experts. It has updatable content. Packaged materials can usually be updated more quickly and cheaply than teachers. Structured teaching. The teaching strategy can reflect a consensus of the most effective and efficiently way to teach. Active learning. Individuals learn by using ideas presented in the teaching rather than merely being told about them. There is, there is also frequent feedback. Learners should be getting continuous feedback to help them monitor and improve their own progress to the teaching package. Explicit aims and objectives. It should be clear what learners might be expected to do as a result of working through the package. Individuals tutoring. Tutors respond to individual learners' needs rather than repeating the teaching provided by the self-instructional materials. Table 6.2 showed some differences between textbooks and self-instructional materials. Textbooks assume interest, while SIM arouse interest. TVs were written for teachers' use, while the SIMs were written for student use. In textbooks, there is no indication of study time. SIM, on the other hand, gives estimates of study time. Textbooks are designed for a wide market, while SIM is designed for a particular audience. Textbooks rarely state aims and objectives, while SIM always gives aims and objectives. Textbooks usually one route through, but SIM may be many ways through it. The table provides us with a good comparison of the two, but still the list goes on. As stated in the provided module, SIMs are not limited to printed media. There are different technologies able to achieve goals of outreach and flexibility as shown in Table 6.3 by Haddad and Jurich. Given the technology that ranges from radio, which is limited in some points, to the internet with highest capabilities among the five is very promising in the distance education environment. As Wackles put it, the most appropriate technology is not necessarily the latest and greatest, but rather a relative mixing and matching of old and new technologies. Next, radio for distance education. Radio was the new communication technology of the 1920s. It has been used as a teaching aid and as an alternative school for both children and adults. With its high outreach and low cost, it is particularly useful in remote areas. In the 1970s, the Philippine School on the Air initiatives such as DZLB and DZJO run by the Bayanihan Broadcasting Center have reached farmers, teachers, and village healthcare workers. As a tool for DE, radio can project to a mass audience in a mixed program format in order to facilitate the enhancements of mass learning, provide the process of information dissemination, establish a foundation for decision making and value formation, and initiate behavioral transformation for social mobilization. To cite a more recent example of the use of the radio for DE is the experience of NISMED, which has a teacher training program delivered via 15-minute segments, 16 lessons per course, aired once a week over 4 months. In 2001, Peloton and Creed reviewed the achievements of radio schools in Latin America and Africa. It was stated that the work of the radio school was significant both socially and methodologically. Their existence demonstrated that within some jurisdictions, it might be possible to create a parallel system of education reaching both children and adults. In addition, with the advent of podcasting, the use of the internet to distribute audio files that can be played using mobile devices, the character of audio broadcasting has significantly changed. It has become easier to produce audio files and cheaper to disseminate them. No need for radio stations. At the same time, the hardware used for playback, consisting of computers, laptops, MP3, or MP4 players, are becoming less costly, although these devices are far from being as widely available as radios. The next slide talks about the television for distance education. The evolution of visual media as a medium for education was conceived before the use of its audio counterpart, which is the radio, in education, though not readily accepted at that time. Since the 1960s, television or TV has superseded radio as the broadcast medium most used for educational programs. The audiovisual character of the medium makes it possible to transmit content that could not be effectively presented by audio alone. It is costly to produce, but the number of reach is very promising. The experience of China's Central Radio and TV University enrolls 2 million students and graduated more than a million since the 1970s. In the Philippines, educational television shows for basic education are broadcast over mainstream channels as well as cable TV. Program content is developed in cooperation with the government agencies such as the DepEd, DOST, DSWD, National Commission for Culture and the Arts, Literacy Coordinating Council, and the Council for the Welfare of Children. The ABS-CBN Foundation has been airing educational programs like the following: Sinescuela, Matinik, Apple Apple, Hiraya Manawari, Bayani, Pahina, Silip, Detect Kids, and Art Jam. Studies done by both ABS-CBN Foundation and independent researchers show that children who watch educational television shows achieve higher scores in achievement tests, showed significant score differentials before and after viewing the show, demonstrated greater understanding of concepts, improved process skills, enhanced reading ability and understanding of printed English, generated interest and appreciation for the subject, provide new and additional insights, recognize that the subject was useful and relevant in everyday life, demonstrated self-confidence through active participation in class, demonstrated good values, overcame fear of the subject because it was presented as fun, and lastly, received more insights into the Philippine culture. As with the case of podcasting, video streaming and video on demand over the internet have changed the parameters of video broadcasting. The cost of hardware has markedly declined, with digital video cameras and webcams being affordable enough for personal use and mobile telephones having built-in video recording capabilities. The storage medium for videos, such as compact discs supporting DVDs and VCDs, are low cost. The hardware used to replicate them is standard for any personal computer, and the software for video editing is also simple to use. On computers and the internet for distance education. Online education is defined as a form of DE that uses computers and the internet as the delivery mechanism, with at least 80% of the course content delivered online. Distance education has based on the premise that education was possible without the face-to-face interaction between the student and teacher. Today, with the advancement in communications technology and the connectivity of computers and the internet, distance education is commonplace. It continues to play an important role in education not only in the Philippines but also in other countries as it provides greater access. As stated in the module, besides the promising audio or video related applications, the most important educational uses of computers and the internet are built on their potential for interactivity. When used appropriately, students are given greater control over their learning experience. But in the Philippine context, as well as in other third world countries, the general population has poor access to the computers and the internet. The next slide The given table, as shown, provides the characteristics of delivery technologies to further understand the varying points of flexibility, which consists of time, place, and pace, refinement, and interactivity. Lastly, lastly, questions needing answers for your inquisitive minds. Number one, what is your take on creating self-instructional materials in your field of expertise? Number two, if allowed to work on SIMS for the underprivileged in the distance education context, what are your considerations to manage learning and interactivity? With that, thank you for your time.